describing one instance where she says he grabbed her hood and pulled her back until she fell on the floor, saying that when she got up to run away, he grabbed her, put her in a headlock, and covered her mouth, and saying after that argument, there were days where he would just scream in her face and tell her to kill herself multiple times, even saying that it got to the point where she would be shaking and scared for her life every time he came closer, was in the same room as her while arguing. And as far as people possibly asking her, why would you stay in this relationship, she seemed to touch on that, saying, believe me, I wish I could turn back time, but I believed his lies when he apologized to me, and I really tried to believe he would stop going so far if I asked him to. Though there, Alice did eventually get herself out. They're even appearing to get this recording while she was packing her things to leave.
And then you look like a miserable little all the time. Like, your face is annoying to look at, like when I come downstairs.
They're saying that even after she left, he wouldn't leave her alone. And so with that, saying she's decided to speak out now because he's threatened to, quote, create a contradicting story to discredit her own. And seemingly with that, also acknowledging that she also insulted Alex in their conversations, writing, in no way am I trying to make myself look as if I never said anything mean. I stooped down to his level and became reckless with my language to try to prove a point. They're even appearing to have changed his contact name in her phone to racist N-word at one point. And on top of that, she admitted to slapping him in the face at one point. But her saying that she only did that after he backed her into a corner while screaming at her. And with all that said, as far as the other side of this, we haven't seen a response from Alex yet. And I mean that as far as him releasing any sort of public statement, as well as we reached out last night to see if he had anything to say. As of recording, he has not responded. Though among all the other people who have reacted to this, notably, this includes several internet personalities who have been a part of Alex's circle at one point or another, such as with YouTuber Will N.E. saying there had been rumors of Alex's behavior last year, and also saying the severity of the abuse that Alice published was far worse than anything I'd heard being discussed. That Google Drive is fucking abhorrent, and what he put her through is inexcusable. Also, Twitch streamer Mia Mon saying Alex's behavior was something, quote, well known throughout the industry, with her also adding that she found it genuinely hard to believe the creators close to Alex had no idea this was going on. And creator Memulus writing, I would usually wait until both parties have said their side publicly before speaking about it, but I think the evidence here is overwhelming. It's awful and disturbing and has seriously shocked me. I'm still processing what's happened. This is one of the worst situations I have ever seen in my life, and I hope Alice is okay. It took a lot of courage to speak about this. But ultimately, as of recording, that is exactly where we are. And so for now, we're gonna have to wait to see what happens, right? Does more come out? Does Alex respond? But in the meantime, I gotta ask you, what are your thoughts about this incredibly disturbing situation? And then when you look at professional sports, you see rivalries everywhere, right? The Bears and the Packers, the Yankees and the Red Sox, the Jets and winning. It just takes a game and puts it on another level. I don't even watch college football. Auburn versus Alabama, I'll watch that game. But in the WNBA right now, you've got a lot of people saying it doesn't feel like people are talking about rivalries so much as trying to stir a race war. And at the center of all this, you've got Caitlin Clark, because she's currently one of the biggest names in sports. She's constantly being credited for bringing so many new eyes to the female game. And since getting into the WNBA, while yes, there's been a focus on some of her stats, a lot of the focus has been on her hits. Right? I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the Kennedy Carter shoulder check to Caitlin Clark, as well as all the fallout and the outrage that ensued afterwards, with some saying she's being targeted because she's the new it girl, others saying she's getting coddled because she's the new it girl. But now, because of this latest incident between Clark and Angel Reese, the online discussion has taken a sharp turn. Well, I can't show you the hit because I'll go straight to copyright jail, not pass go, not collect $200. In Sunday's game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, Reese swung her arm up for a block and she knocked Clark in the head. And regarding that and general officiating after the game, we saw some accusations of favoritism towards Clark, with Reese saying,
I think we went up really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back at looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle, but...
Whereas on the other side, you had Clark dismissing the foul as just being a part of the game.
It's just part of basketball. It is what it is. Just trying to make a play on the ball and get the block. But yeah, it happens.
But Clark's mild reaction, it didn't stop people from saying things like Angel Reese takes a total swing at Caitlin Clark's head, gets flagrant foul. They hate Clark because she's white. Fever has to get an enforcer or Clark's going to be knocked out for the year on one of these plays. And notably, despite there being a lot of big plays in that game, that foul became the clip of the game, with media outlets just highlighting it again and again and again, which then led to strong reactions from those within the women's basketball sphere. Like, for example, we saw four-time WNBA All-Star Swin Cash saying on X, to have the only highlight of Angel be the foul is nasty work by these outlets. You know what you're doing while also questioning her intent is nonsense. They got it right. It was a flagrant one. It was called by the refs and the players played on. We've also seen others criticize media outlets for their coverage, saying things like, not to be hyperbolic, but the way media is continuing to go down this road is very dangerous for Angel Reese. It's time to put the brakes on this. We've seen the type of people congregating around Caitlin Clark. What media outlets are doing for ratings is a dangerous game. And others claiming Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are being used in a race war that's not fair to either athlete or the game of basketball. With all that said, I gotta ask you, what are your thoughts on this? And I especially would love to know your thoughts if you've been a fan of the WNBA or female sports for a while now. Because it definitely feels like part of this is, a lot of people that were not in this space all of a sudden being in this space all at once, and there's all this like excitement, but chaos. Also, regarding some of the games I've watched, it feels like there is an officiating problem. Like in some games, it feels like they're not calling anything, then they get criticized. All of a sudden, they're calling fucking everything. But also, talk to pretty much any sports fan, and they'll have a problem with at least someone that's officiating a game. And then, hey, you want to hear about something just horrifying? A disease caused by an incredibly dangerous flesh-eating bacteria that can kill you in just 2 days is spreading at a very alarming rate in Japan right now. And so the disease in question is called streptococcal toxic shock syndrome, or STSS. And normally, STSS is caused by the same group of bacteria that causes strep throat in children. But in some rare cases, the bacteria morphs into more dangerous diseases like STSS, which then can lead to rapid onset symptoms including limb pain and swelling, fever, low blood pressure, breathing problems, loss of limbs, organ failure, and death. And experts say that this can all happen in just a few days, with one explaining most of the deaths happen within 48 hours. As soon as a patient notices swelling in a foot in the morning, it can expand to the knee by noon, and they can die within 48 hours. And an alarmingly high number of people who get STSS do ultimately die, with the CDC reporting that the disease has a mortality rate of up to 30%. Though notably, there are certain groups that have a higher risk here, like adults 65 and older, those with open wounds, and people with diabetes or alcohol use disorder. And all of this is you have the CDC noting that experts don't know how the bacteria got into the body for nearly half of the people who get STSS. And at that point, Japan reportedly doesn't know what's causing its current spike, just saying that it is very high and very concerning. Right? I mean, early this month, Japan's health ministry had recorded 977 cases of STSS, which notably is the highest ever since the country first started tracking 25 years ago, and already outpacing the previous record of 941 cases reported for all of last year. Well, the ministry has so far reported 77 deaths between January and March. The real number is likely much higher because it only accounts for 3 months, and cases have risen significantly in recent weeks. And this is all these figures are expected to rise this year, which is absolutely horrifying for something that has a 30% mortality rate right now. But also, very notably here, Japan isn't the only country that has seen a spike in STSS in recent years. In fact, in December of 2022, at least 5 European nations reported an increase in invasive group A streptococcus, which includes STSS. But as far as what you can do with this information, right, as far as if you live or if you're traveling to Japan, you have experts saying to have basic hygiene, like washing your hands and keeping wounds clean, as well as wearing masks in busy places. With some also noting that having vaccines from other upper respiratory tract infections like flu or COVID can actually help reduce the risk. But I guess the main takeaway here is being alive is stressful. Like just existing and learning about what's out there. I just want to listen to audiobooks and go for walks and be ignorant to the world, man. Knowing stuff sucks. And then, for those of you looking to kickstart a business, maybe showcase homemade crafts, start a personal blog, or perhaps even sell merch, I've got a great solution for you. Right? Any business, hobby, or side hustle, it needs an online destination. And today's fantastic sponsor, Squarespace, they've got you covered. Squarespace has partnered with the PDS for years, and I can honestly say it is a breeze. There are no installations, no patches, no updates needed ever. And if you need a starting point, they've got a ton of stunning professional templates and drag and drop editing in their Fluid engine, which makes site design incredibly simple, no coding required. Hell, they'll even handle the production and shipping so that you can launch and maintain your merch business. Plus, with Squarespace, you get access to all their marketing tools and analytics and their award-winning customer care team via email or live chat 24/7. So go check it out and see why so many others love it, and start your free trial today over at squarespace.com/Phil. And when you're ready to launch, don't forget to use offer code Phil for 10% off your first purchase. It's squarespace.com/Phil, or just scan the QR code on screen. And then a lot of the time when you're talking about conspiracy theories, they're just crazy, bogus bullshit. But then every once in a while you find out the actually real fucking nuts thing is true. What we're seeing right now is that a Reuters investigation uncovered a secret US military psyop that spread anti-vax propaganda at the height of the pandemic. And this specifically targeting China's Sinovac vaccine, sowing doubt about its safety and efficacy. Though notably, it was then later approved by the World Health Organization. And this psyop also attacked other life-saving aid like face masks and test kits, with this operation having a special and specific focus on the Philippines, because that's where Sinovac was the country's first and primary vaccine for about a year. And I mean, the Philippines got hit hard by the coronavirus, killing nearly 50,000 people by fall of 2021. And all the while, little did they know that there was a team of psychological operations soldiers and defense contractors at the MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida, that had been stoking fear for months. Reportedly starting in spring of 2020, when they began creating hundreds of fake accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, then posting a hashtag that translates to China is the virus and saying things like, COVID came from China and the vaccine also came from China. Don't trust China. As well as from China, PPE, face mask, vaccine, fake, but the coronavirus is real. So altogether, we saw these accounts gathering tens of thousands of followers, and this in a country that was already vulnerable to anti-vax nonsense. With one official saying public concern about a dengue fever vaccine in 2016 led to broad skepticism toward inoculations overall. But reportedly, the Pentagon's propaganda didn't stop just in the Philippines or even in Southeast Asia for that matter, saying in the summer it actually reached across Central Asia and the Middle East, undermining trust in both Chinese and Russian vaccines. With a